your new album, The Ascension, it comes out this week. So
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
September 24th, it comes out on Tuesday. And man, I'm so pumped about this record. This is my fifth kind of full studio record with the label I'm on. And so excited about it. The idea of The Ascension comes from these specific psalms called Songs of Ascent. If you read like the subtext, and like that some Bibles have titles over the songs, the subtext it says Songs of Ascent, and what many scholars believe that meant is that a couple times a year, all the people of Israel would gather at the holy city in Jerusalem, come to the temple to worship God, kind of where His presence was. And the songs of ascent were sung by these communities and neighborhoods and families as they would climb the hills. Literally, you have to go up hills to Jerusalem. And so as they would ascend up to the holy city, they'd sing these special, rare, incredible songs of remembrance and worship. And when I heard someone talking about that, I was reading about it, I just thought, man, that's a really cool picture, like all the people of God, like with this anticipation and excitement and remembering what God has done and running up into His presence, so to speak. And I just kind of pictured, like, what does that look like today? God's people running up to His presence, because it says in the Bible that wherever two or more are gathered in Jesus' name, He's there in the midst. And it says that God dwells in the praise of His people. So no longer is God the glory like in a temple, in Israel, but it's like it's in us and with us, and we are the temple, we are the church. And when we get together, it's like a holy moment, So all that being said, like in some ways, these songs are modern songs of ascent, songs desiring to be in God's presence and to dive deeper into Him and reach higher for Him, and not just like settle at status quo, which I find for me is so easy just to get lazy or just whatever's just kind of wherever the current goes, like go along with it. That's the easiest way. But to be able to just kind of to like see the goal and run towards it was the theme behind a lot of these songs.
That's awesome. And so, are you one that writes more songs than you need for the album and then cut them down, or like how do you?
I mean, I definitely have more than I needed. I'm not as prolific. I don't write as many songs as some other artists I know. I find that when I try to push a song forward, I get a lot of the same stuff over and over.
Right.
The stuff that's kind of easy to rhyme almost,
Right.
The love like a dove from above or whatever. And it's those songs that I feel like maybe, there's so many different ways to see all the different things of God, infinite ways really, to see His love, and whether you see it through creation, or through the scriptures, or through art, or through your relationships with your kids, or your whatever. I just find that once in a while, the Lord just seems to show me something new of Himself to me. He reveals another little facet of His eternal self, And in those moments, I feel like it's a spiritual, a holy revelation moment, just that we all kind of have as we walk with Jesus, me as a songwriter thinks, man, there's a song right there,
yeah.
and I almost come up with the title before I have anything else, and then
That's cool.
I kind of have the title and idea of what the song's going to be. I have no idea what it's going to sound like, and that's where the work starts,
Yeah. So you have a song, "This Is Amazing Grace." Tell us a story
I do.
about that.
This Is Amazing Grace was written. It started getting written a long time ago. Well, a couple years ago, here in Nashville, with a buddy named Josh Farrow, who used to be in a band called Paramore.
Yeah.
And he got off the road from a tour and just wanted to write a worship song, and I was in town, and we just got together. It was spur of the moment thing. We wrote this song called "This Is Amazing Grace," at least the first version of it, and we both thought it was special and a cool moment. It came in like 30 minutes, and then we recorded it very rough into my through my laptop speaker or laptop microphone, and just I didn't think about it for another couple years. But then I get this email from Jeremy Riddle like 2 years later, who's a worship leader at Bethel Church in Reading. Was actually like one of my favorite worship leaders and worship songwriters, saying, "Hey, like I heard the song 'This Is Amazing Grace. Do you mind if I take a stab at rewriting some lyrics for the verses?" And I was like, "Man, I haven't heard that song in like 2 years. I haven't thought about it in that long. Of course you can do that, And so he sent me the new version a few days later with some different lyrics and verses, which were way better than what we did. And I was just like, "Man, you killed it. It's awesome." And so that was the final version of the song. And I think it's kind of a cool story because it literally exchanged hands over different countries to get from Nashville to like Britain, and then somewhere else in the U.S. and to someone at Bethel Church in Reading, and they heard it. And I'm glad it's a song that people are singing in churches now, and I get to have on my record. I'm really excited about it. It's a song just that celebrates the love and grace of God.
It's interesting too that you wrote it with Josh Farrell. That's a cool backstory.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
That's cool. And so, kind of with songwriters, like what advice would you give to aspiring songwriters?
Man, I would say like for me, that wait for those moments that happen in life that just seem like they don't, for me, they don't happen all the time, but those moments it's like, whoa, that I'm seeing something special, or I feel like thinking about God in a whole new way, or maybe thinking about the cross in a new way, or seeing God's love in a different way, and that could come, like I said earlier, through different ways. But wait for those moments of inspiration to come, and don't just kind of let them happen and be patient for it. And once that inspiration hits, then don't be afraid to work and to rewrite and to edit and to show your songs to people and wanting them to be better. And even if you feel like that initial inspiration was holy, doesn't mean that what kind of has been the work of the lyrics is necessarily holy. It doesn't mean it can't be better. So I'm big on waiting for that moment that God kind of speaks into your heart. And I'm also big on just really thinking through your song and making it the best it can be. And if someone says, man, that second verse could be better, not getting defensive about it,
Right.
but just rewrite. Okay, maybe you're right. I'm going to try it again. And so I think it's a good balance of inspiration and perspiration, I guess.
Absolutely. And so, fall tour plans. What do you have going to promote the new record?
Man, I think we're out every weekend doing something. No official tour like out on a bus, but we'll be all around the country doing different things. I'm actually doing a Christmas tour. I think it's
Cool.
our fourth one with Shane and Shane. We do this worship Christmas tour. That'll be about 2 weeks in December, and then we're getting some spring tour stuff for 2014 happening, and then I think the fall of 2014 I'm doing a UK tour with a couple
Cool.
guys from out there. So thinking about next year a lot as well.
Yeah. And so, on a personal note, you just had your second child.
Yeah, our second little girl. At this moment, she is 8 weeks. She just turned 2 months old, and she's beautiful and already looking like so much more like a person and not like a little newborn blob, and she's amazing. Our first little girl just turned 2 as well, so we had like a brand new 2-year-old and a brand new 2-month-old, and the 2-year-old I feel like has taught me so much about life and God and love and the Father's heart, and it's been amazing. She's like incredible little person already. It's like her personality's shining through, and it's been awesome getting to know her as a person, not just as like a little baby.
Yeah.
So yeah, being a dad has been awesome, and it's weird that something that it throws so much responsibility onto your shoulders. Like being a parent is like you can't be much more responsibility than that. Which I think sometimes maybe you try to get the less responsibility is maybe more of a blessing. Sometimes it's like that's probably what vacations are for. But it's weird that something that takes so much responsibility and time and effort and focus and parenting, and I'm only 2 years into it. It can be a direct result of all of the blessing and joy
Right.
and fullness in life. It's like that you welcome the responsibility and you welcome the tasks, and because it's like it's sowing into like reaping this like awesome new life that me and my wife have experienced. It's been awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, a scripture that you've been looking at lately, or something kind of that inspires you that you could.
Man, I've been just trying to. There's a song that I remember my mom singing around the house, and it for some reason been like hitting back in my mind lately, and it's so simple. It's 1 John 4, 7, and 8. It says, I'm not going to sing the song, but it's like a little kid's song that I just, and for some reason I just started to remember, but it says, Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of God, and everyone that loves is born of God and knows God, and he that does not love does not know God, for God is love. And it's what there's these stories that the guy who wrote 1 John, his name's John.
Right.
There's this external literature that I've actually never read, but I've heard pastors talk about when John, as an old man, would get like literally carried into these early churches, and his message was love each other, like literally 3 words long, and it would just be this powerful moment in these churches that were already, even in the short decades after Jesus left, we're already getting tied up with doctrines and is this right? Is this wrong? What pointing fingers and starting to lean back on works like they used to, and not on God's grace, and love one another. And I think there's this like, what does that mean to love people? And I know, like in a day-to-day way, what does it mean to love my literal neighbors? And how does that really look? I'm trying to kind of figure that out and want to make sure I'm doing it.
Absolutely. And that's a never-ending process for sure.
It is for me. For sure.
Cool. Well, hey, this is Phil Wickham. Thanks for hanging out with us.